This is how life is for many Palestinians in Gaza, like the family who live in the house on the right. The phone rings, a voice warns them to get out as fast as they can. About 15 minutes later, this happens. That scenario is repeated all over Gaza every day. Israel says those phone calls help reduce the number of civilian casualties. It says strikes are aimed at the militants behind the rocket fire. We've reached a Palestinian doctor who lives and works in Gaza City. He's been describing on social media the effects of the bombing and the destruction it is causing. He posted online a video he took walking through a neighbor's house after it was hit. The home was torn apart during an Israeli rocket attack on Thursday morning. His neighbors were warned to leave the house just minutes before the rocket struck. So Dr. Belal Dabour joins us now from Gaza City. Good morning, good afternoon to you, Dr. Dabour. Gaza was hit with more rocket power through the night and into this morning. Could you describe what you've been witnessing there on the ground?
Yeah, good morning to you, John. Actually, I have just came from a funeral to 8 of my neighbors. They live about 700 meters away from my home, and they were targeted this afternoon, about 3 hours ago. One of them was targeted by a drone missile. He's allegedly affiliated with the resistance, the armed resistance, but the air attack also killed 7 people who were just passing by, and we were at the funeral. Now, by this attack and a few attacks after it, the total number of the victims of this ongoing attack are now 135. And as a doctor, I can tell you a lot of stories that I have witnessed in the past 24 hours. Just from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. today in my time, we received 8 bodies, 3 of which came from an airstrike which targeted a charity home for disabled. 2 disabled young girls died and their nanny. Also 3 other policemen. And this has been going on for 5 days now. Given the total injuries of 1,000, including 1,000 injuries and 135 died.
Dr. Dabour, you are in the main hospital in Gaza City. I understand what you're saying about those that have been killed. What sort of injuries are you dealing with as well, and what range of victims are we talking about here?
Yeah, let me tell you about just one incident from yesterday that I witnessed myself. We were sitting in the emergency room, and suddenly we have this gush of emergency of ambulances. About 8 ambulances dropped on us just in like 5 minutes, 16 injuries. One of them died in the operation room, and the others were injured lightly and moderately. In an airstrike which targeted a piece of land just next to a mosque, to the service area of a mosque, and all at once they were injured. Just while we were treating them, also came other 3 injuries from another airstrike on another house. The range of injuries that we have been dealing with ranges from injuries by F-16 mega bombs to just drone attacks, and at very few occasions injuries with artillery shells. But the rubbles from the F-16 and the shrapnels from the drone attacks all over their bodies, they cause massive damages. Let me tell you about this. The one patient that we received about 2 a.m. Last night, his name is Anas, he was 17. He received only 2 small shrapnels about the size of 5 millimeters, just half a centimeter. The shrapnel penetrated the right side of his head and also his brain and exited the other way around. Another shrapnel, also the same size. You almost do not notice the MCUs unless you specifically look for it. No. And it wreaked havoc inside his abdomen, and he bled like 2 to 3 liters inside his abdomen, just inside the ambulance. And when he reached the hospital, he was already dying, gasping, and he died on scene.
Now,
also,
Dr. Dabour,
this morning,
I'm sorry, sir. I just wanted to jump in because there's a question we do want to be able to put to you. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that these attacks will continue until the missiles stop coming from Gaza. Do you have a message for the Prime Minister of Israel and the people of Israel as you deal with the situation there on the ground?
Yeah, he's looking at this the other way around. I mean, you cannot blame 2 million people besieged for 8 years with no exit, no power supplies, and no salaries now for 8 months. People who were subjected to 3 ground invasions and 3 massive wars in just 6 years. You do not blame them. I tell him to look the other way around. Just give us some dignity and give us a way to live. When you corner people in the corner, you deprive them of just the smallest bit of hope. You do not blame them for what they do, for the actions and the choices they make, because you have already cornered them and they have nothing to lose.
Dr. Dabour, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate your honesty and your description of the situation on the ground there. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, John.
Belal Dabour is a doctor who lives and works in Gaza City.